Every Christmas, I make the same drive down that long snowy road in my old Buick. It's not fancy, but it's carried my memories farther than any shiny car could. My name is Eleanor, and I'm 70 years old. Some people look at me and see just another grandmother, white hair, simple clothes, driving a car older than most marriages, but what they don't see is the story behind these wrinkled hands. The empire I built with my own 2 hands, alongside the love of my life, the legacy I walked away from to find peace. And the Christmas when my arrogant son-in-law mocked my old car, having no idea who I really was. This is that story. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to my corner of the world, where I share the stories that have shaped my life, and the lessons that came with them. If you're new here, I'm so glad you found me. This channel is where I pour out my heart about family, love, and the complicated truths that come with living a long life. Before I continue with today's story, I want to ask you something. If my words touch your heart today, if anything I say resonates with you, please take a moment to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm here every day with a new story, a new lesson, a new piece of my heart. And please, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Are you in California like me? Are you across the country in New York or Florida? I love knowing that my voice reaches you. Wherever you are, it makes this old woman feel connected to something bigger than herself. Now, let me take you back to last Christmas. December 23rd. To be exact, the morning was crisp and cold, the kind of California winter morning where you can see your breath in the air. I stood in my driveway in my small house on the outskirts of town, loading up my 1989 Buick LeSabre. She's not much to look at, I'll admit. The paint has faded from deep blue to something closer to gray. There's a dent on the passenger door from when my husband accidentally backed into a pole 20 years ago. The interior smells like old leather and the lavender air freshener I've been using since 1995. But she runs. Does she run? Every engine purr is a memory. Every mile is a testament to the love story that built her. You see, my husband Robert bought this car for me in 1989. It was the year our small auto parts business finally turned a real profit. We'd been struggling for years, working 16-hour days, eating ramen noodles for dinner, reinvesting every penny back into the company. But that year, everything changed. Robert came home one evening with the biggest smile on his face and keys dangling from his finger. "Eleanor," he said, "we made it, and you deserve to drive in style." Style, I laughed then, and I smile now thinking about it. This Buick was the most style we could afford at the time, but to me, it was a Rolls-Royce. Because it represented something more than transportation. It represented dreams coming true, hard work paying off, a future we were building together, one car part at a time. I loaded my suitcase into the trunk, just a small one. I don't need much. Then, I placed the tin of Christmas cookies I'd baked on the passenger seat. Chocolate chip with walnuts, my daughter Laura's favorite. The drive to Laura's house takes about 4 hours. She lives in an upscale neighborhood in Southern California, the kind of place where every house looks like it belongs in a magazine. Big yards, perfect landscaping, expensive cars in every driveway. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's not home. Home is my small house with the garden. I tend myself. Home is simplicity. Home is remembering where you came from. I started the engine. She coughed once, then purred to life and began my journey. The roads were quiet that morning. I passed through small towns decorated with Christmas lights, families walking together, children pointing at window displays. Christmas music played softly on my old radio, and I thought about Robert. It's been 12 years since he passed, 12 years since cancer took him from me, slowly and painfully. We'd sold our company shares by then, lived comfortably, traveled a bit, but those last months, watching him fade, were the hardest of my life. Before he died, he made me promise something. "Eleanor," he said, his voice weak but his eyes still bright, "don't let them change you. Stay simple, stay humble, live the quiet life we always dreamed of." And I have. After he passed, I could have bought a mansion. I could have driven a Mercedes. I could have flaunted the wealth we'd accumulated. But that's not who we were. That's not who I am. So I kept my small house. Kept my old Buick. Kept my simple life. and I've been content dot 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 dot. Arrived at Laura's house around 2 in the afternoon. The sight took my breath away, as it always does. A large two-story home with a 3-car garage, Christmas, lights strung perfectly along the roofline, a massive wreath on the front door, actual snow in Southern California, probably from a snow machine dusted across the front lawn where the children were playing. I pulled my old Buick into the driveway, parking behind a brand new Tesla and an Audi SUV. The contrast was almost comical, my faded blue relic sitting between 2 machines that probably cost more than my entire house. But I felt no shame. This car and I have been through too much together to feel shame. I was gathering my things when I heard the voice. Wow, didn't know people still drove these relics. I looked up to see Derek, my son, standing on the front porch with a smirk on his face. Derek is 38, tall, handsome in that polished corporate way. He works as a mid-level executive at Titan Motors, a luxury car company, and he never lets anyone forget it. "You're sure that thing's road legal, Mom?" He called out, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "Mom." He calls me Mom, but there's no warmth in it. It's performative, like everything else about Derek. The children, my grandchildren, Emma and Noah, giggled nervously. They're good kids, 8 and 10 years old, but they take their cues from their father, and right now, their father was mocking Grandma's car. I smiled softly, the way I always do when Derek says something cutting. "She's been road legal for 34 years, Derek. I think she's got a few more miles in her." I grabbed my suitcase and cookie tin and walked toward the house. Derek didn't offer to help. He just stood there, still, smirking, shaking his head. Laura appeared in the doorway, and her face fell when she saw the exchange. "Mom, you made it." She rushed down to hug me, then shot Derek a look that could melt steel. "Derek, help your mother-in-law with her things." "Oh, it's fine, honey," I said quickly. "I've got it." But Laura grabbed my suitcase anyway, glaring at her husband. "You're unbelievable," she muttered to him as she passed. Derek just shrugged and went inside. I followed my daughter into the house, my heart heavy. This wasn't the first time Derek had made comments about my lifestyle, about my car, my clothes, my outdated ways. But it stung every time. Not because I cared what he thought about my possessions, but because I cared what it taught my grandchildren. That value comes from what you own, not who you are. That someone driving an old car deserves mockery, not respect. That material wealth is the measure of a person's worth. Inside, the house was beautiful. A massive Christmas tree in the living room, decorated with expensive ornaments, garlands on every surface. The smell of pine and cinnamon filled the air. "Mom, your room is ready upstairs," Laura said, leading me up the grand staircase. Same one, as always. The guest room was lovely too. Lovely, really. It felt more like a hotel than a home, but appreciated the thought. I unpacked my small suitcase and changed into a comfortable sweater. Then I went downstairs to join the family. Derek was in the living room, on his phone, talking loudly to someone about work. "Yeah, the new line is going to be incredible. Titan Motors is really pushing boundaries this year. I'm heading the marketing campaign for the luxury sedan series. He went on and on, bragging about his position, his responsibilities, his importance. I sat quietly in an armchair, watching the children play with their toys. Emma noticed me and came over, climbing into my lap. "Grandma, did you bring cookies?" "I did, sweetheart. Chocolate chip with walnuts, just like always. Those are my favorite." Noah joined us, and for a few minutes, I forgot about Derek's earlier comment. I was just a grandmother, holding her grandchildren, feeling their warmth and love. But then Derek ended his call and turned his attention to us. "Kids, don't sit on Grandma too much. At her age, bones get brittle." He said it like a joke, but there was an edge to it. Laura shot him another look from the kitchen. "Derek, that's enough." "What?" "I'm just being practical. Mom's not getting any younger." I forced a smile. "It's okay, Laura. He's right. I'm not getting any younger, but these old bones still have some strength in them." Derek smirked and went back to his phone. That evening, the whole family gathered for dinner. Laura had made a beautiful spread: roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, fresh bread. It was delicious, and I told her so repeatedly. "Mom, you taught me everything I know about cooking," Laura said, squeezing my hand. "Well, you've surpassed your teacher," I replied warmly. Derek, of course, had to insert himself into the moment. Speaking of teaching, I've been mentoring some of the junior executives at Titan. It's important to pass down knowledge. You know, that's how empires are built. Empires. I nearly choked on my water. Tell me, Derek, I said carefully, how long have you been with Titan Motors? 5 years, he said proudly. Worked my way up from associate to senior marketing executive. It's a competitive field, but I've got what it takes. And you enjoy the work. Absolutely. Titan has such an incredible history. Did you know the company was founded back in the 70s by some small-time mechanics who got lucky? They sold it to bigger investors in the 90s, and that's when it really took off. Now it's one of the most prestigious luxury car brands in the country. Small-time mechanics who got lucky. I set down my fork very carefully. Thought my hands were trembling slightly. Not from age, from the effort it took not to correct him. Not to tell him that the small-time mechanics were me and my husband, that we didn't get lucky. We worked ourselves to the bone. That the foundation of his precious Titan Motors was built on our sweat, our tears, our sleepless nights. But I said nothing. I just smiled and nodded. That's fascinating, Derek. It sounds like Titan has a rich history. Oh, absolutely. The founder sold out in '93. I think. Smart move on his part. Got out before things got really complicated. But the new owners, the ones who really built the brand into what it is today, they're the true visionaries. Laura looked at me with concern in her eyes. She knew some of my history. Not all of it. I'd never told her the full story, but enough to know that Derek's comments were hitting close to home. Derek, she said quietly, maybe we should talk about something else. Why? I'm just sharing about my work. Mom's interested, aren't you, Mom? I nodded. Very interested. Please, continue. He did. For the next 20 minutes, Derek monopolized the conversation, talking about his career, his achievements, his plans for the future. And I sat there, quietly eating my dinner, thinking about the past. That night, after the children were in bed, I sat alone in the guest room. I couldn't sleep. Derek's words kept echoing in my mind. Small-time mechanics who got lucky. I got up and went to my suitcase. Buried at the bottom, wrapped in an old silk scarf, was a leather folder. I hadn't looked at it in years, hadn't needed to, but tonight, I needed the reminder. I opened the folder carefully. Inside were photographs. Me and Robert in our 20s, standing in a tiny garage that served as our first workshop. We looked so young, so hopeful, covered in grease and grinning at the camera. Another photo showed us standing beside our first prototype, a small sedan we'd designed and built ourselves. The year was 1972. We'd just gotten married. We had nothing but a dream and a shared love of cars. Robert had been a mechanic since he was 16, studied business and design in community college. Together, we made a perfect team. He understood the mechanical side. I understood the business side. We started small an auto parts shop that also did repairs. We worked 16-hour days, 7 days a week. Our hands were always dirty. Our bank account was always empty. But we were happy, because we were building something together, something that mattered. In 1975, we designed our first engine modification, a small innovation that improved fuel efficiency. We patented it, started manufacturing it, sold it to other mechanics and small car companies. It was a hit. By 1978, we'd expanded, hired employees, opened a second location, started designing full vehicles, not just parts. That's when we created the prototype for what would eventually become Titan Motors flagship sedan. The design was revolutionary for its time. Better suspension, improved safety features, innovative engineering. But it nearly bankrupted us. The development costs were astronomical. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, terrified we'd lose everything. But Robert never gave up. Eleanor, he'd say, holding me close, empires aren't built by people who quit when it gets hard. We're going to make it, I promise. And we did. In 1982, our company, then called Hayes Automotive, launched 3 new models. They sold beyond our wildest dreams. We became millionaires, almost overnight. By 1985, we had factories in 3 states. By 1990, we were one of the top automotive companies in the country. But success came with a price. The bigger we got, the more complicated life became. board meetings, investor pressures, corporate politics. We missed family dinners. Missed holidays. Missed the simple joy of working side by side in a garage. Robert started having health problems, stress. The doctors said he needed to slow down. So, in 1993, we made the hardest decision of our lives. We sold our majority shares to a group of investors. We kept enough to live comfortably, but we stepped away from the company entirely. The new owners rebranded it as Titan Motors. They took it in a different direction, more luxury, more prestige. And they wrote us out of the history. Not maliciously, necessarily. Just. Conveniently. It was easier to sell the narrative of new visionary leadership than to acknowledge the company was built on the backs of two mechanics from nowhere. We didn't fight it. We didn't care about the credit. We just wanted peace. We bought a small house, traveled a bit, spent time with Laura, and we were happy. Happier than we'd been in years. Robert always said, Eleanor, the best thing we ever built wasn't a car, it was a life together. I looked at his photo now, my eyes filling with tears. Oh, Robert, I whispered, you should hear the way they talk about us now, like we were nothing, like we just got lucky. But I knew what he'd say if he were here. He'd say it doesn't matter. He'd say the truth doesn't need defending. He'd say our legacy isn't in a company name, in the lives we touched, the family we raised, the love we shared, and he'd be right. But still, it hurt. I'd closed the folder and put it away. Tomorrow was Christmas Eve. I'd come here to spend time with family, not to dwell on the past. I needed to let it go. But sleep didn't come easy that night. The next morning, I woke to the sound of laughter and Christmas music. I got dressed and went downstairs to find the family already gathered in the living room. Presents were piled under the tree. The children were vibrating with excitement. Grandma, Emma ran to me and hugged my legs. It's Christmas Eve. Can we open presents now? That's up to your parents, sweetheart. Laura smiled. After breakfast, but we can do stockings now if you want. The children cheered and dove for their stockings. I sat on the couch, watching them, feeling a warmth in my chest despite yesterday's tension. This is what mattered. This. Not corporate legacies or company histories. Just this family, togetherness, love. Derek came downstairs, looking polished as always, even in his expensive Loungewear. He was carrying a stack of beautifully wrapped presents. All right, family, he announced. I've got some special gifts this year. He handed presents to Laura, to the children. To me, mine was small but elegantly wrapped. Go ahead, Mom, open it, he said. I unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a Keychain. A luxury car brand keychain. It's for when you finally upgrade to a real car, Derek said with a laugh. Maybe a nice pre-owned sedan. I can get you a deal through my connections. The room went quiet. Laura's face turned red. Derek, that's incredibly rude. What? I'm trying to help. That Buick is a death trap. I'm worried about her safety. The Buick is fine, I said softly. Mom, with all due respect, it's not fine. It's ancient. It's embarrassing. When you pulled into the driveway yesterday, I'm pretty sure the neighbors thought we were being visited by a homeless person. Laura stood up. Derek, that's enough. Apologize to my mother right now. For what? For caring about her safety. For trying to help her join the modern world. I stood up, to my heart pounding. Derek, my car runs perfectly. Your concern is noted but unnecessary. He shook his head, that smirk still on his face. You know what? Fine. Keep driving your relic. But don't be surprised when it breaks down on the side of the road and you're stranded. I left the room before I said something I'd regret. I went to the kitchen, my hands shaking. Not from fear or sadness this time. From anger. Pure, righteous anger. Who was this man to judge me? To mock me? To treat me like I was less than because I chose simplicity over show? Laura followed me into the kitchen. Mom, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's gotten into him. He's been so arrogant lately. It's okay, sweetheart. It's not okay. He's being cruel. People often mock what they don't understand, I said quietly. What do you mean? I looked at my daughter, my beautiful, kind daughter. She didn't know the full story either. I'd kept so much from her, trying to give her a normal life, trying not to burden her with the weight of our success. Maybe that was a mistake. Laura, there's something I need to tell you. About me. About your father. About that card Derek keeps mocking. She sat down at the kitchen table, concern in her eyes. What is it, Mom? But before I could speak, Derek appeared in the doorway. Hey, sorry if I came on too strong out there. I just worry about you, Mom, that's all. His apology was hollow. I could hear it in his voice. He didn't think he'd done anything wrong. He was just trying to smooth things over so the holiday wouldn't be ruined. It's fine. Derek, I said. Great. So, listen, I wanted to show you something. He pulled out his laptop. This is the new marketing campaign. I'm heading for Titan's luxury sedan line. It's going to be huge. We're launching in the spring. He opened a presentation, started clicking through slides, and there it was. The sedan he was so proud of. The new design, but it wasn't new at all, was based on the prototype Robert and I had created in 1978. They'd modernized it, updated the technology, changed the exterior slightly, but the core design, the suspension system, the frame structure, the engineering was ours. Was mine. What do you think, Mom? Derek asked, clearly expecting praise. I stared at the screen. I think that design looks familiar. Really? Well, it's inspired by classic automotive engineering, so maybe that's why. But trust me, this is cutting-edge stuff. The engineers at Titan are geniuses. Geniuses. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Derek, I said carefully, do you know who designed the original suspension system for that model? He shrugged. Some guy in the R&D department, I guess. Why, just curious. He closed his laptop, oblivious. Anyway, this campaign is going to put me on the map. I might even make VP by next year. He walked away, leaving me standing there, staring at the space where his laptop had been. Laura touched my arm. Mom, what were you going to tell me? I looked at my daughter. At her kind eyes, so much like her father's. Not yet, honey, soon, but not yet. That afternoon, we decorated cookies with the children. We watched Christmas movies. We sang carols. And I tried to let go of my anger. Tried to focus on the joy. But Derek made it impossible. Every chance he got, he found a way to remind me that I was less than in his eyes. When I offered to help make dinner, he joked, better let the younger generation handle it. Mom, we've got modern appliances you might not understand. When I told a story about the old days, he interrupted with, well, things are different now. People are smarter, more efficient. When Emma asked me about Grandpa, Derek said, your grandpa was a hard worker, sweetie, but he was just a mechanic. Not like today's innovators, just a mechanic. That was the final straw. That evening, after dinner, I excused myself and went out to my car. The night was cold and clear. Stars filled the sky. I opened the trunk of my Buick and pulled out the leather folder I'd looked at the night before. But this time, I didn't put it away. I brought it inside. I walked into the living room where the family was gathered, watching a Christmas movie. Derek was on his phone. As usual. Laura was cuddled with the children. I turned off the TV. Mom, Laura looked confused. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, sweetheart, but there's something I need to share with all of you, especially Derek. Derek looked up from his phone, annoyed. Can it wait? I'm in the middle of an important email. No, I said firmly. It can't wait. Something in my tone made him put the phone down. I sat in the armchair across from them, the leather folder in my lap. Derek, you've spent the last 2 days making comments about my car, my lifestyle, my choices. You've called me outdated, embarrassing, a relic. You've suggested I don't understand modern technology or innovation. He shifted uncomfortably. I didn't mean let me finish, I said, my voice steady. You've also talked extensively about Titan Motors, about its history, its founders, its legacy, and you've gotten almost everything wrong. What do you mean? I opened the folder. Those small-time mechanics who got lucky that you mentioned, those people who supposedly sold out in '93, that was me. That was your wife's father. That was our company. The room went completely silent. Derek's face went pale. What? I pulled out the first photograph. This is me and Robert in 1972, standing in our first garage. We had nothing but a dream, and $3,000 in savings. I passed the photo to Laura. Her eyes filled with tears. Mom, I never saw this before. I know, I kept a lot of our past private. We didn't want the attention or the expectations that came with our success. I pulled out another photo. This is us in 1978, standing next to the prototype for what would eventually become the flagship Titan sedan, the one you're marketing right now. Derek, I passed that photo to him. His hands were shaking as he looked at it. This can't be. It is, I said quietly. Robert and I founded Hayes Automotive in 1972. We built it from nothing, and I mean nothing. We worked 16-hour days. We lived on ramen noodles and hope. We poured every penny back into the business. By 1990, we were one of the top automotive companies in the country. I pulled out more documents, original patents with our names on them, company certificates, newspaper, articles from the 80s featuring Robert and me, awards we'd won for innovation in automotive design. In 1993, Robert's health was failing. The stress of running a major corporation was killing him. So we sold our majority shares to a group of investors who rebranded the company as Titan Motors. We kept enough money to live comfortably, but we stepped away completely. We wanted peace. We wanted to spend our remaining years together, not in boardrooms. Laura was crying openly now. Dad never told me. You never told me. We didn't want it to define you, sweetheart. We wanted you to make your own way in the world, free from the shadow of our success. And you did. You became a wonderful teacher, a beautiful mother, an incredible woman, and we were so proud. I turned to Derek. That car you've been mocking, that relic in the driveway, Robert bought it for me in 1989, the year our company finally stabilized. It was the first thing we bought for ourselves after years of sacrifice. Every dent, every scratch, every mile on that car represents our journey, our struggles, our victories, our love. Derek couldn't speak. He just stared at the documents in his hands. So when you say the founders got lucky, you're wrong. When you say the real visionaries were the people who bought the company from us, you're dismissing everything Robert and I built. And when you mock my car, my lifestyle, my choices, you're not seeing wisdom or peace, you're seeing failure. But Derek, I'm not a failure. I'm someone who built an empire and walked away from it because I understood something you don't. What's that? He whispered. That success isn't measured by what you own. It's measured by what you give, by who you become, by the love you share, and the lives you touch. I closed the folder. I forgave your comments because I understood you didn't know, but now you do. And now you have a choice. You can continue to measure people by their possessions, their age, their appearance, or you can learn to look deeper, to value character over cars, legacy over luxury, humility over arrogance. The silence in the room was deafening. Emma, bless her heart, broke it. Grandma, you built cars, like real cars? I smiled at her. Yes, sweetheart, Grandpa and I built cars, including the company your daddy works for. That's so cool, Noah exclaimed. Why didn't you ever tell us? Because it's not what matters most. What matters most is you, my family, being here with you, loving you, teaching you that true wealth isn't in bank accounts or fancy houses. It's in relationships, in character, in living a life of integrity. Laura came to me and wrapped her arms around me. Mom, I had no idea. All these years, I thought you and Dad were just comfortable. I didn't know you'd built all that. We did, and then we let it go, because holding on to it would have cost us our peace. I looked at Derek. He was staring at the photo of the prototype, tears running down his face. I'm so sorry, he said, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry. I've been such an idiot, such an arrogant, ignorant fool. Yes, I said gently, you have been. How can I ever make this right? By learning from it, by teaching your children what really matters, by understanding that the person driving the oldest car in the parking lot might be the one who built the parking lot. He nodded, unable to speak. The rest of the evening was quiet. No more Christmas movie, no more carols, just family, sitting together, processing everything that had been revealed. Laura asked me questions about the company, about Dad, about those early years, told her stories I'd never shared before, about the nights we slept in the garage because we couldn't afford both rent and materials, about the first time someone bought one of our engine modifications and it actually worked, about the day we signed the contract to sell the company, and how Robert cried because he was so relieved we'd finally be free. The children listened, wide-eyed, seeing their grandmother in a completely new light. And Derek sat quietly, holding that photo of the prototype, his entire worldview crumbling and rebuilding itself. That night, before bed, he knocked on my door. Mom, can I talk to you? Of course, Derek. He sat on the edge of the bed, looking like a child who'd been caught doing something wrong. I don't know how to apologize enough for the way I've treated you, not just this week, but always. I've been so focused on climbing the corporate ladder, on proving I'm successful, that I became blind to what real success looks like. Derek, success isn't a bad thing. Ambition isn't wrong. But when it comes at the cost of kindness, of humility, of seeing the humanity in others, that's when it becomes destructive. You're right, and I hate that it took this to make me see it. Sometimes we need to be humbled to learn humility. He nodded. That car, your Buick, I called it a relic. But it's not. It's a treasure. It's a testament to everything you and Robert built together. It is, I said softly. If you'd let me, I'd like to restore it for you, properly, not to change it, but to honor it, to make sure it runs for another 30 years. I smiled. Derek, that's a lovely offer. But honestly, she doesn't need much. A little maintenance here and there, maybe, but she's perfect just the way she is. Just like you, he said quietly. I reached out and squeezed his hand. We all have room to grow, Derek, even me, even at 70. The key is being willing to see where we've gone wrong and make the change. I want to be better. For Laura, for the kids, for you, then be better. It's that simple and that difficult. He stood to leave, then turned back. Thank you, Mom, for not giving up on me, for teaching me this lesson. Thank you for being willing to learn it. Christmas morning was different. Derek was different. He helped make breakfast without any comments about modern efficiency. He asked me about the old days, genuinely interested. He told Emma and Noah about Grandma's company, speaking with respect and awe instead of dismissiveness. And when it came time to exchange gifts, he gave me something unexpected. It wasn't wrapped, he just held it out a framed photograph. I stayed up last night and did some research, he said. I found this in the Titan Motors archives. I thought you might want it. I took the frame. It was a newspaper article from 1985. The headline read, Hayes Automotive revolutionizes safety standards, husband and wife team lead innovation. Below it was a photo of me and Robert, accepting an award. We looked so young, so happy, so proud. Derek. I couldn't speak past the lump in my throat. There are more articles, more photos, a whole history that the company tried to bury. I'm going to make sure people know the real story, starting with our marketing department. That campaign I've been working on, I'm adding a segment about the company's true founders, about you and Robert, about the legacy you created. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. It's the right thing to do. And more than that, it's the truth. And the truth deserves to be told. Laura was crying again, but this time from joy. Mom, this is incredible. Dad would be so proud. He would be proud of trust control of you, I said, looking around at my family. This is what he wanted. Not fame or recognition, just family, love, understanding. That morning, we opened presents together. The children squealed with delight over their toys. Laura loved the hand-knitted scarf I'd made her, and I treasured that framed article more than any expensive gift. After presents, Derek did something that surprised me even more. Kid, Grandma, want to come outside with me for a minute? We bundled up and followed him to the driveway. He walked over to my Buick, opened the hood, and started examining the engine. Derek, what are you doing? Laura asked. Just checking things out, Mom. When's the last time you had the oil changed? About 3 months ago. Spark plugs. Last year. He nodded, impressed. You've taken good care of her. Of course I have. She's precious to me. He closed the hood gently, then walked around the car, running his hand along the faded paint. You know what I see now when I look at this car? What? Emma asked. I see two people who refused to give up on their dreams. I see years of hard work and sacrifice. I see love, real, lasting love. I see the foundation of everything I've built my career on. And I see a grandmother who values substance over show, who measures worth by character instead of possessions. He turned to me. I see everything I want to be. I walked over and hugged him. Really hugged him. For the first time since he'd married my daughter. Thank you, Derek, for being willing to change, for being willing to see. Thank you for being patient with me while I figured it out. Noah tugged on my sleeve. Grandma, can you tell us more stories about building cars with Grandpa? Yeah, Emma chimed in. How did you make the engines? Did you use big hammers? Did you get really dirty? I laughed, the first real laugh I'd had in days. Oh, we got very dirty. Come inside where it's warm, and I'll tell you all about it. We spent the rest of Christmas Day by the fire. I told stories about Robert. About our first garage, so small we could barely fit 2 cars inside. About the time Robert accidentally welded his sleeve to a car door, and we had to cut him free. About our first employee, a young man named Marcus who's now retired and still sends me Christmas cards. About the day we sold the company, and how Robert insisted we celebrate by going to the same diner where we'd had our first date. The children listened, enraptured. Laura listened, learning things about her father she'd never known, and Derek listened, really listened, taking in every word. At one point, he pulled out his phone. "Mom, would you mind if I recorded some of these stories? I'd like to share them at work, give people a real sense of the company's history." "Of course, Derek, I'd be honored." That evening, after the children were in bed, the 3 of us adults sat together. "Mom," Laura said, "why did you and Dad keep all of this a secret? Why didn't you want us to know?" I thought about her question carefully. It wasn't that we didn't want you to know. It's that we didn't want it to define you. We'd seen too many children of successful people struggle under the weight of expectations. We wanted you to find your own path, make your own achievements, be proud of yourself for who you were, not who your parents were. But I would have been so proud to know. And now you can be. Now, when you're established in your own right, a successful teacher, a wonderful mother, a strong woman, now you can know our story without it overshadowing your own. Derek leaned forward. "I have a confession to make. When I first started dating Laura, I looked into your background. I found some information about Hayes Automotive, about the sale in '93, but the records were sparse. And I assumed you'd been minor players, maybe office staff or something. I never imagined, double quotes, that we'd been the ones who built it all." I finished, "Yeah. And I'm ashamed to admit that my assumptions about your role led to my assumptions about your worth. I thought if you were just office staff who got a small payout, then you were less than. And that's such a toxic way of thinking." "Yes," I agreed. "It is, but you're recognizing it now. That's what matters." He nodded. "I've been doing a lot of thinking today, about my career, my priorities, what I'm teaching my kids. I don't want them to grow up thinking that success equals money or status. I want them to learn what you taught Laroth, that real success is about character, integrity, hard work, and staying true to yourself. That's all any of us can hope for," I said. Laura squeezed my hand. "Mom, will you teach the kids more? About cars, about business, about life. They should know their heritage. They should learn from you. I'd love nothing more." We sat there for a while longer, talking about the future instead of dwelling on the past. Derek talked about changes he wanted to make at work, not just the marketing campaign, but a shift in how the company honored its history. Laura talked about maybe starting a small business of her own, something she'd always dreamed about but felt too scared to pursue. And I talked about finally writing down Robert's and my story, preserving it for future generations. When I finally went to bed that night, I felt lighter than I had in years. Not because my past had been validated, but because my family had been brought closer together. Because lessons had been learned, because love had won over pride. The next morning, I packed up my things to head home. The children clung to me, begging me to stay longer. "I'll be back soon, I promise. Maybe for New Year's." "Yes," they both shouted. Derek helped carry my suitcase to the car. As he loaded it into the trunk, he paused. "Mom, I meant what I said about the restoration. Even if she doesn't need much, I'd like to do a full maintenance check. Make sure everything's running perfectly. It's the least I can do." "All right, Derek, but remember, don't change her. Just care for her." "I won't change a thing, I promise." He hugged me goodbye. "Drive safe, and Mom, yes, thank you for not giving up on me, for showing me who you really are, for teaching me what I needed to learn." "You're welcome, Derek. But remember, this is just the beginning. Real change takes time and consistent effort." "I know, and I'm committed." Laura hugged me last, tears in her eyes. "I love you, Mom, and I'm so proud of you, of everything you and Dad built, and everything you gave up for peace. I love you too, sweetheart, so very much." I climbed into my old Buick, turned the key, and smiled as she started right up. Same reliable, same comfort, same memories humming through every part of her. As I pulled out of the driveway, I glanced in the rearview mirror. My family stood there with Derek, Emma, and Noah. All of them seeing me differently now. not as a little old lady with an outdated car, but as a woman who'd built an empire and chose love over legacy. As a woman who understood that true wealth isn't counted in dollars but in moments like these. Drive home was peaceful. I thought about Robert, wishing he could have been there to see Derek's transformation. But somehow, I felt like he knew. Somehow, I felt his presence in every mile, every memory, every moment. We did good, didn't we? I whispered to him. We built something that lasted, not a company of family, a legacy of love. And I could almost hear his response, warm and full of that gentle humor he'd had. We did better than good, Eleanor. We did what mattered. When I got home, I sat in my driveway for a moment before going inside. I looked at my small house, my simple life, my old car, and I felt no regret, no desire for more, because I had everything that truly mattered. Over the following month, things changed in beautiful ways. Derek kept his promise. He revised the marketing campaign to include Hayes Automotive's true history, mine and Robert's story. The response was overwhelming. People were moved by the tale of two mechanics who built an empire and walked away from it for love. Motors brand actually strengthened. Because of it, authenticity, it turned out, was more valuable than any polished corporate narrative. Derek also started a mentorship program at Titan, working with young mechanics and engineers from underprivileged backgrounds. Just like you and Robert started, he told me, I want to give others that same chance. He brought the kids to visit me once a month. They'd spend weekends learning about cars, about business, about life. I taught them to change oil, to check tire pressure, to understand basic engine mechanics. But more importantly, I taught them about perseverance, integrity, and the value of staying humble no matter how successful you become. Laura started her own small business, a tutoring service for struggling students. It wasn't flashy, but it was meaningful. And watching her pursue her passion reminded me of those early days with Robert, when we were just starting out. As for my Buick, Derek did perform a full maintenance check. He replaced what needed replacing, cleaned what needed cleaning. But he kept her exactly as she was, faded paint, old dent, and all. These aren't flaws, Mom, he said. They're history, they're character, they're beautiful. And you know what? He was right. One day, about 6 months after that Christmas, Derek called me. Mom, I need your help with something. What is it? Titan is designing a new model, a tribute to the original Hayes Automotive designs. We want to honor the company's roots. Would you be willing to consult on the project? Maybe even be part of the official launch? I smiled. Derek, I'm 70 years old. I'm retired. I've been retired for a long time. I know, but you're also the co-founder of this company. Your voice matters. Your expertise matters. And it would mean the world to me, to all of us, if you'd be involved. I thought about it. Thought about Robert. About what he'd want. All right, I said, but on one condition. Anything. I'd drive there in my Buick. He laughed. I wouldn't have it any other way. So I did. I consulted on the new design. I shared stories and insights from the old days. I worked with young engineers who looked at me with awe and respect. And at the official launch, I gave a speech. I stood on that stage in front of hundreds of people, and I told our story, Robert's and mine. About starting with nothing but a dream, about the struggles and the victories. About building something meaningful and knowing when to let it go. About choosing love over legacy. And about a 1989 Buick that carried all those memories better than any luxury car ever could. When I finished, the room erupted in applause. People stood. Some were crying. And in the front row, I saw my family, Laura, Derek, Emma, and Noah, beaming with pride. After the event, a young woman approached me. She couldn't have been more than 25. Mrs. Hayes, I just wanted to thank you. I'm a mechanical engineering student, and hearing your story, it made me realize that I belong in this field, that I can do this, even though I'm starting from nothing. I took her hands in mine. You're not starting from nothing, dear. You're starting from passion and determination. That's everything. Don't let anyone make you feel small because you're not there yet. Robert and I started in a garage barely bigger than a closet. Look what happened. She hugged me, tears streaming down her face. Thank you so much. That moment, that one moment made everything worth it, not the applause or the recognition, but knowing that our story could inspire someone else to chase their dreams. That's legacy. That's what lasts. As I sit here telling you this story, it's been almost a year since that Christmas. The Christmas when my son-in-law mocked my old car, when he had no idea who I really was. When everything changed, my Buick still sits in my driveway, running perfectly. I still drive her everywhere, and I always will, because she's not just a car, she's a love story. She's a testament to what Robert and I built together, not just a company, but a life. Derek is a different man now. Not perfect, none of us are, but better, but more humble, more aware of how he treats people, more focused on what really matters. And my grandchildren, they know their heritage now, know that success isn't about fancy cars or big houses. It's about character, about working hard for what you believe in, about staying true to yourself even when the world tells you to change. About measuring wealth in relationships, not dollars. I single quotes VE learned something important through all of this. Friends, people will judge you by what you drive, where you live, how you dress. They'll make assumptions based on appearances. They'll decide your worth without knowing your story. By their judgments, say more about them than they do about you. The person mocking your old car might be standing on a foundation you built. The person calling you outdated might be living in a world you helped create. The person dismissing you because of your age or your simplicity might be missing out on wisdom that could change their life. So don't let their judgments define you. Don't feel pressured to prove yourself or show off what you have. True confidence doesn't need validation. True wealth doesn't need display. True success doesn't need applause. My old Buick taught me that. Or rather, the life Robert and I lived taught me that. Stay humble, stay kind, stay true to what matters. And if someone mocks you for it, well, maybe they need the lesson more than you need their approval. These days, when I drive down that snowy road to visit my family, I smile the whole way. Not because my secret was revealed, not because I received recognition, but because my family is closer, because lessons were learned, because love won, and because this old car, with all her dents and faded paint, still runs like a dream. She's carried me through decades of memories. She carried me through whatever time I have left. And when I'm gone, I hope she remind my grandchildren of what really matters. Not the empire their grandparents built, but the love we shared, the integrity we maintained. The choice we made to value peace over prestige. That's the real legacy. That's what lasts. So thank you for listening to an old woman's story today. Thank you for letting me share this piece of my heart with you. I hope it reminds you that you're more than what you own, more than what people see on the surface, more than the judgments others place on you. You're a collection of experiences, choices, relationships, and love. That's what defines you. That's what matters. And if anyone ever mocks your old car, your simple lifestyle, your humble choices, just smile, because they have no idea who you really are. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly the lesson they need to learn. Until tomorrow, my dear friends, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. This is Grandma Eleanor, reminding you that the most valuable things in life can't be bought, can't be bragged about, and can't be taken away. They're earned through love, preserved through humility, and shared through grace. Drive safe, wherever you're going, and remember, it's not about the car you drive, it's about the journey you take and the people you bring along for the ride. God bless you all.